guys, I am the CHALL, your Dogs Rovers fan for the latest football content, and welcome to today's edition of the DRFC Daily Report, bringing you the latest news, transfer activity, rumours and match reaction from Dogs Rovers Football Club. Now, of course, like every other after match day report, this is going to be a very, very long one because not only will we be looking at Darren Moore's reaction and also explaining more about the injuries to Tyreece John-Jules, Rayan Tulloch, and also explaining why he played Reece James as a left attacking player. We're also going to be looking at the other results and league tables in League 1, but also the Premier League, the Championship and League 2. The top 4 divisions of English football. So before we get started, guys, just sit back in your seats, get your popcorn, get your Coke, and sit back and let's just enjoy the Saturday action. Now, don't forget, there are other games and we'll go through them when we go through each individual league at that particular point. So, let's get straight started and let's talk about the Premier League. So let's start off with the results from Saturday. Everton 2, Liverpool 2, Chelsea 3, Southampton 3, Manchester City 1, Arsenal 0, and Newcastle United 1, Manchester United 4. So looking then at the Premier League table, despite a drop of points, Everton remain top of the league, unbeaten with 13 points, but look at Aston Villa. 2 games in hand. If they win both of them, they go 2 points clear at the top of the Premier League. Leicester, of course, do also have a game in hand, as does Tottenham, Leeds and Manchester City. And you can see Arsenal sitting there in 5th after that 1-0 loss to Manchester City. Chelsea's draw keeps them in 6th and puts Southampton inside the top 10. In the other half of the table, Newcastle start off the bottom 10. Fulham and Sheffield United still to play today, and one of those teams will be out of the relegation zone, and replacing them will be West Brom. Brighton, of course, near the bottom. Manchester United's win against Newcastle sees them take 6 points from 4 games. West Ham and Crystal Palace make up the rest of that bottom 10. So in terms of upcoming fixtures, Sheffield United play Fulham at 12 o'clock today. Of course, that will have already kicked off by the time this is uploaded. Crystal Palace Brighton play at 2 o'clock. Tottenham West Ham play at 4:30 today, and Leicester City Aston Villa play at 7:15. And then tomorrow on the Monday, you've got a 5:30 kickoff between West Brom and Burnley, and an 8 o'clock kickoff between Leeds and Wolverhampton Wanderers. So there we go, that is the latest from the Premier League. Of course, you've got all those fixtures to look forward to going into today and tomorrow. Let's talk a little bit about the fixtures that went on yesterday. Let's start off with the Merseyside derby. I actually watched that one. I was at the sports bar in town, of course, mask, social distancing, it was all good, don't worry, I can officially report, they're sticking to the rules officially with government guidelines, so no need to worry, no need to panic. But I'll tell you something now, watching that game, and I could see the fans around me, and to be fair, I was a neutral, right, there was a couple of neutrals in the bar, and the rest of them, you guys know, if you find watching this, then welcome. But if you end up watching this and you know you were there, loads of Liverpool and Everton fans around me. And the last goal that could have been the winning goal for Liverpool, you could see the change in atmosphere in one decision. As soon as that goal went in, jubilation from the Liverpool fans and heartbreak from Everton fans. As soon as VAR made that decision, the whole situation changed. It was the opposite way, and Everton got off lightly. And I'm going to talk more about that incident in a little bit, but there were a few incidents in there. First of all, the challenge on Van Dijk. Now, Van Dijk is rumoured to be out for 7 months. A couple of newspapers are saying it could be out for the rest of the season. Why was that not given a red card? Now, I know they were checking for onside, offside. Yes, he was offside. But they should have done a separate VAR decision to check for a red card and a penalty. Doesn't matter whether it was offside or onside. It should have been a penalty. It should have been a red card. And I don't get why it wasn't. And, you can say, oh, it's, it has to be in the state of play because it was offside, it's not considered part of the play. I don't care. It still injured him. It was still a dangerous tackle. And to be fair, there was another tackle like that in previous games and they still gave it like yellow cards and penalties and whatever. But I didn't get it. I really didn't get it. And that's Van Dijk out for about 7 months now. I think. I think it looks like 7 months. So, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with that. And now the Liverpool goal, the final one, the third and final one that could have been the winning goal. That is the most blatant onside I have ever seen in my entire life. Why has VAR not given that? And this is the problem with VAR, and this is why I'm glad we don't have it in League One, because VAR is ruining the game of football. The way it was brought in, it was brought in for the clear and obvious. Now VAR is just taking over the game in more ways than it should have been. It is taking jobs, because let's face it, in my opinion, if I was a manager, I'd have been going straight up to the referee and I'd be saying to him, you're in charge of the match. You don't let some guys in the studio tell you what to say and do. Take a stand and disagree with the VAR, because the VAR right now is acting like the premier referees. And the referees feel like a stick man on a pitch just running around getting a bit of fitness here and there. The referees don't make the decisions, VAR makes the decisions, and that shouldn't have been the case. It was the most blatant onside I've ever seen in my entire life. And, Everton fans will probably agree with that. They might not say it. It was onside by the margin of a gnat's private parts. It was so onside, it was unbelievable. And I don't get why it gave it as offside. Was it the edge of an elbow? Bearing in mind, if it's touched a body part that was marginally offside, even marginally, then it's an offside. But he didn't really use it. He didn't even use his elbow in the state of play. So what is it? Is the new offside rule, even if a body part is a armpit hair offside, even if it's not been used in play by accident as a potential handball or not handball, it's still offside? Is that like the handball rule, where even if you don't see the ball coming and it strokes your hand by a millimetre, it's still a penalty and a handball? What's fair about football anymore? And you know what attackers are going to do with the handball rule? They're going to keep attacking for the hand. They're going to play a different way. They're going to keep trying to play for penalties, and that's not the game of football. I'm sorry, but this is a business now. It's just trying to make it as perfect as possible. And you know what the worst thing is? No matter how much we cry VAR out or get it scrapped, we can't go back on the word we made in 2010, because people cried for technology when Lampard's goal was disallowed and it was clearly over the line in the World Cup back in 2010. And people cried for technology. People cried for Sepp Blatter to put in technology in football. And they did it with the goal line technology. That worked. They brought in VAR, and it's done more than it should have done. So we can't go back on our word, because then the corrupt people in charge of football will use it against us and call us hypocrites for calling for the thing we wanted in the first place. So, it's just going to use them it's going to give them ammunition to call us hypocrites, to call for the thing we wanted in the first place, which is technology, to make better decisions. So, I don't know. I think there should be goal line technology in Championship League 1, League 2, because that's alright. It made one mistake, but that was the goalkeeper trying to, disrupt the technology, and the technology wasn't working. And now Liverpool call for an inquest into that VAR review, and hopefully it will be reviewed. If not, then it's a joke. And that's no disrespect to Everton, but I think that Liverpool was robbed, to be honest, of 3 points. And apart from that, it was quite a close derby, to be honest. I think the goal from Mo Salah was quite good, the header from Michael Keane, and that's where Van Dijk would have been. If Van Dijk wasn't injured for a long period of time, Van Dijk would have been in that box where Joe Gomez was, and he would have headed that away. But Michael Keane towered above the rest and headed it in. And the Henderson goal actually wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. And you know, I'm sad for him that it was ruled out, but, you know, we have to move on from that. Chelsea-Southampton, 3-3. Good comeback by Southampton, but at least one of those goals was another mistake by the world's most expensive keeper, Kepa Arrizabalaga. Good to see Timo Werner get 2 goals on his first 2 goals in the Premier League. Timo Werner, what a player he could be. You know, that second one, that was cheekier than a bottom grab. That was cheeky, that lob. But Southampton leading the comeback, and I think he came off Vestergaard, the equalising goal, the third one. Even though Walcott looked like he was going to try and take the claim for it, but Vestergaard did get the final touch, so it was a Vestergaard goal. But the second goal Southampton scored, that was definitely a Kepa Arrizabalaga mistake. What was he doing? What was he doing? Chelsea needed a better defence. Their attack is... It's like Arsenal now, and I don't think Chelsea fans like to see their club getting compared to Arsenal, but they're like Arsenal now. Their attack is better than their defence now. They've got a world-class attack. Now the defence needs a bit of a shake-up. And January is going to have to be the month that they shake up that defence at Chelsea, and it's going to have investment. It's going to need investment to stay in reach for a top 4 place. Southampton, on the other hand, what a team they've got. They could achieve so many great things under this manager, and they could really turn their situation around, because last season, you know, they were in and out, lost 9-0, and they were down in the dumps. Then Hasenhüttl didn't get sacked, they brought the team up, and they finished respectively. They can do so much great things under this manager, and it was a nice little moment at the end of the game, by the way, when Hasenhüttl reunited with Timo Werner, of course, Leipzig, former student and master at Leipzig, should we say. So, good result for Southampton, but Chelsea, they need to improve, and it's sad that their sort of new keeper, Mendy, got injured on international duty, so they're going to have to stick with Caballero or Kepa. I mean, Kepa being forced to play in this game, but it just shows again why money isn't everything. Kepa needs to move away from the club. It's just not doing him any good at all. I don't care where he moves to. He can move to Doncaster Rovers for all I care. You know, I think Kepa just needs to move somewhere permanently, just to get his form back up and get his career back on track. Man City, 1-0 against Arsenal. That one was a very interesting one as well. I think that the tackle from Walker, that was a penalty in my opinion. I don't get why it wasn't given. And I think Aguero should have got a yellow card because he put his hand on the lineswoman. He was arguing with her and then put a hand on her like he was trying to force grab her or something. That should have been at least a yellow card, if not a red, you know. And, you know, I've seen the fans' reaction after this game, DT, troops, I've seen loads of stuff from AFTV, loads of stuff from other Arsenal fans online, and I have to agree with them. And I think Arsenal were being too careful in that game. I think they paid City too much respect in that game. And City were there to be got at. I think the second half, Arsenal just should have done better. And there are a couple of things that I have to question Arteta about. You know, why did it take until 8 minutes till the end to bring Partey on? Why was Bellerin left? Well, to be fair, Hector Bellerin had a poor game. And to be honest, the weird thing is, apart from that one goal, the defence wasn't too bad. David Luiz was better. Gabriel was good. Tierney was good. Bellerin was... Bellerin is Bellerin. Bellerin made the mistake. He was part of the mistake. Leno couldn't do much about the goal, but Bellerin just made the mistake in the first place for that goal. So, you know, is right back going to have to be the position now where Arsenal have to improve? Do they have to sign another player? Because obviously they've got Cedric, Maitland-Niles can play in there, and obviously Bellerin. So, you know, do they need another right back just to provide competition for Bellerin and Cedric? You know, is a new right back going to have to be the solution? Someone who can be consistent? But we'll have to see. I think it'll come over time. I know one player they missed, and I think it's someone who should have played with Partey. Maybe as if you're playing a 4-3-3, have Partey as the holder behind 2 attacking playmakers. Ceballos, and I would put Ozil there. But we don't know what's happening with Mesut Ozil. You know, he's getting paid £350,000 to sit on the bench. Well, sit at home every single week. He's not even in the Europa League squad. You know, what's the point in having Ozil there? Is it just to see out his contract? So, you know, next summer's going to be a busy summer for Arsenal because they're going to have to improve a lot because, of course, Ozil's out of contract, Mustafi's out of contract. There's a few other players out of contract. I think they'll sign some players to a new contract. David Luiz will probably get another year or two deal. And there's some other players out of contract. So it's going to be a busy switch around for Arteta next summer. And it's going to rely on what they do this season as to who gets a new contract and who gets into the free agency. So, or to a new club on a free deal. So it's going to be an interesting watch. And then finally, Newcastle 1, Man United 4. And I was probably predicting to come on here and say Man United, again, poor performance. Like the Spurs game, like the Brighton win, like the Crystal Palace loss. You know what? Man United did really well. And this is something I was thinking about. Dan James, I've no doubt he could be a good footballer, but his intelligence right now is poor. His football intelligence is poor. Man of the match for me, and you guys are going to go mad and say, Bruno. I think Bruno was right up there. I think he's joint first for man of the match. But I would give it to Juan Mata for that second half performance. His football... And I know Ricky from the United Stand is probably watching this and thinking, yes, he's a Mata fan. But no, Juan Mata, his football intelligence, he might not be quick. You know, I think getting overlapped by Jamal Lewis and not tracking back to defend and help the full-back out, you know, fair enough. That's something. You know, his speed is not good at the minute. I think his speed, he's getting to that stage where his speed's not going to be his strong point. It's going to be his technical ability and his football intelligence. Juan Mata's football intelligence was brilliant, and what a surprise when Dan James came off, when the likes of Van der Beek came on, when the likes of Matic came on, when the likes of you know, when they brought on, you know, other players, you know, it's no surprise that when those second teamers came off and they brought on the likes of Matic and Van der Beek, the football intelligence just switched. And some people said it when Bruno made his debut. I think it was against Wolves last season. Him and Mata's link-up play is just magic to watch. And, you know, the Newcastle goal, it did unfortunately come off short, but the midfield fell asleep and got overlapped by Newcastle. Alan Saint-Maximin, apart from that goal, was kept quiet for the rest of the match. So, you know, the Newcastle goal, very early on, very early on, we're thinking, oh no, not again. But the goals from Man United, brilliant. The team goal for the Bruno goal, what a team effort. What a team effort. And then the Wan-Bissaka goal, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant finish from Wan-Bissaka. It's good to get that confidence back. The Rashford goal to make it 4 was brilliant. The second goal, the goal to take them into the lead from Harry Maguire. That is what the doctor ordered for Harry Maguire. He needed that goal. He absolutely needed that goal. And this could give him the whole world of confidence going into future games, because they've got PSG, they've got Chelsea, they've got Leipzig, then Arsenal. And this is going to give them a whole lot of confidence, especially if you can keep this up throughout all 4 of those games and get decent results. And then, going into that international break in November, this is perfect for Harry Maguire. Absolutely 100% perfect. So, this is crucial for Harry Maguire. This goal could be a turning point in his season. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to turn into the best defender in the world, but this could be a turning point to save his career and his campaign. So, very good results there for the likes of Man United, Man City, a draw at Chelsea and a draw in the Merseyside derby. But I think the main headlines are going to be VAR, of course, yet again, dominating the headlines as it usually does. Bad refereeing, again, that's going to dominate the headlines as well. And it's going to be a big debate. So let's move away from the likes of VAR and technology. Let's move into proper football, and we start in the Championship. And let's check out the results from Saturday. Barnsley 2, Bristol City 2. Birmingham City 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1. Blackburn Rovers 0, Nottingham Forest 1. Bournemouth 0, Queen's Park Rangers 0. Brentford 2, Coventry City 0. Luton Town 0, Stoke City 2. Middlesbrough 0, Reading 0. Rotherham United 1, Norwich City 2. Swansea City 1, Huddersfield Town 2. Wycombe Wanderers 1, Millwall 2, and Preston North End versus Cardiff City will kick off on Sunday at 12 o'clock. So let's look into that Championship table, and despite dropped points, Bristol City and Reading stay a couple of points clear at the top of the Championship, with Bournemouth, Swansea making up the playoff places with Watford and Luton. A point behind them is Millwall and Stoke. Blackburn Rovers finish off the top 9. Into the next 8 places, Brentford start off with 7 points, leading Norwich and Huddersfield, QPR, Middlesbrough, Birmingham on 6 points, Rotherham on 5, Preston North End with a game in hand, and Cardiff with a game in hand on 4 points. Both of them played today at 12 o'clock. That will have already kicked off by the time you're watching this. And Preston North End and Cardiff, either one could win and move closer towards the top 9. And in the bottom 6, Coventry slip to 19th on 4 points. In 3 points, Nottingham Forest and Derby County. Forest getting their first win under new manager Chris Hughton. Derby lose again. The pressure mounting on Philip Cocu, as reports say Wayne Rooney could be the next man in charge if Cocu is sacked. And Barnsley slip into the relegation zone by a point. Wycombe still yet to get a point on the board, and Sheffield Wednesday closing that points deduction. So there we go, that's the Championship. Let's do a quick roundup of the fixtures, because I did see the highlights on EFL On Quest last night. Some decent results in there for some teams. I think Barnsley getting a point against Bristol City at the top of the Championship is very good for their interim boss, Adam Murray. Of course, they're on the managerial hunt after Gerard Struber left for the New York Red Bulls in the MLS. But Barnsley got their stuff together, and the 12th minute of added time, a penalty scored by Woodrow, because of course Solbauer got injured in the build-up to that penalty, and it took 10 minutes to score the penalty. And I think he jokes about it on Twitter, saying it was a bit, awful having to wait 10 minutes for a penalty, but he scored it in the end, and Barnsley got a point where Bristol City could have easily snatched all 3 with a massive win on paper. So I think Barnsley should be proud of themselves for that point. Going across them, Blackburn Rovers, I was kind of shocked that they lost, to be honest, because, and to be fair, looking on the balance of things, they weren't, at their best today, so I think Nottingham Forest did deserve to get the win in the end, but I did think that it was from a giveaway from the midfield. Bradley Johnson gave the ball away, and it was scored in by Joe Lolly, who returns to the field, by the way. But I think Blackburn Rovers can do better than that. They've got an exciting squad, exciting talent. And it's the same really with Luton as well. I was surprised they lost, to be honest. But, mistakes cost, and, Stoke City took advantage. And Stoke City under Michael O'Neill, they've brought in a great squad, and they can do some dangerous stuff in here. When Wycombe scored in the 9th minute, I honestly thought, is Wycombe going to do it? Are they going to get their first points? They've got the first goal of the season, now can they get the first points of the campaign? And then Millwall completely turned it around. They completely turned it around, and Millwall just got the win in the end. And unfortunately, Wycombe, I think they're going to be the whipping boy, not the whipping boys, sorry, the whipped of the league, should we say? Not the whipping boys, but the whipped boys of the league, unfortunately. And it's going to take a while to settle in. I think they're more familiar with the League One situation, but getting that experience of Championship, even if they get relegated to bottom this year, I think Wycombe will get the experience from this season, and they'll take it into League One again next season, in my opinion, and they'll try and go again. They'll go again and try and do better, and then try and stay into the Championship for the long run. And of course, Preston kick off against Cardiff today at 12 o'clock, so you can check out that game if you haven't already, if it hasn't finished by now. So let's move on then to League One, the 3rd tier of English football. AFC Wimbledon 0, Shrewsbury Town 1. Bristol Rovers 1, Burton Albion 1. Charlton Athletic 1, Wigan Athletic 0. Crewe Alexandra 1, Blackpool 1. Fleetwood Town 0, Lincoln City 0. Ipswich Town 2, Accrington Stanley 0. Peterborough United 2, Oxford United 0. Plymouth Argyle 2, Northampton Town 1. Portsmouth 0, Doncaster Rovers 1. Rochdale 0, Hull City 3. Swindon Town 0, Sunderland AFC 2. And Milton Keynes Dons 2, Gillingham 0. So into League One we go, and Doncaster Rovers back inside the top 9 in 7th, and still with a game in hand. And win that, they could go inside the top 3 on goal difference over Lincoln, who drew against Fleetwood. Ipswich and Hull still top 2 in the league. Peterborough and Plymouth enter the playoff places. Gillingham and Accrington drop below into the bottom half of that top 9. Portsmouth start off the next 8 with Wimbledon, Bristol Rovers and Crewe not far behind. Fleetwood and Charlton as well. Shrewsbury, Swindon and Wigan make up the rest. And into the bottom 6 there, MK Dons and Blackpool outside the relegation zone. Blackpool outside on goal difference as Burton and Northampton drop in it on goal difference along with Rochdale. Oxford still with a game in hand on just 3 points. Big week there in League One, and of course you guys know my reaction to the Doncaster Rovers match. It was a great performance. Spells of pressure from Portsmouth, but I think overall we did do good in the end and got the sweetest goal, sweeter than Cadbury as the title said in that review. But some other good results elsewhere. Hull City getting a good win against Rochdale, but I think the big test for them will be against the bigger teams because of course, as you will know, I mean we saw from the Fleetwood game the previous week, it's going to have to be, you know, the big teams as well. It can't just be the most easiest teams to beat. I think Northampton have gone on a bit of a downward spiral under Keith Curle. I think losing to Plymouth, who I think are going to be a surprise package this season. I think they're you know, they're in the playoff places now. I think they could be chasing a top 10 finish. And, you know, Plymouth could definitely get that. They could definitely get that. Earlier in the day, MK Dons beating Gillingham. That's a good win for MK Dons because they've played a good way but haven't got the results for it. So it's good to see them finally getting a victory for a good piece of play. And Gillingham now, that's back-to-back losses. So, you know, is Gillingham on the downward spiral? Is Steve Evans going to, you know, take this team by the scruff of the neck and get them back up on the reins? We'll have to see. But let's move on now to the 4th tier, League 2. Bolton Wanderers 1, Oldham Athletic 2, Carlisle United 3, Colchester United 2, Crawley Town 4, Morecambe 0, Forest Green Rovers 1, Stevenage 0, Harrogate Town 1, Barrow 0, Mansfield Town 1, Bradford City 3, Newport County 1, Tranmere Rovers 0, Port Vale 1, Salford City 0, Scunthorpe United 0, Cambridge United 5, Southend United 0, Cheltenham Town 2, and finally Walsall 0, Exeter City 0. So finally then looking into the League 2 table, Cambridge sitting top, joint with Newport, Cheltenham, Forest Green, Carlisle, Morecambe take us from 3rd into the playoff places, and Harrogate finish off in the playoff place as well. Port Vale, who beat a managerless Salford with Paul Scholes as interim manager, and Crawley, who battered Morecambe 4-0, finished off the top 9. In the next 8, permanent managerless, Salford City in 11th place on 9 points. Walsall ahead of them on 10. Salford joint with Exeter on 9. Bradford, Colchester in 13th and 14th respectively. Grimsby Town moving up to 15th into this half of the table from the bottom half, finishing off some of those games in hand. Tranmere Rovers, Stevenage and Leyton Orient make up the rest of that top 8. And into the final 6, Oldham and Bolton and Scunthorpe on 4 points, sliding towards the relegation zone. Barrow outside of it on goal difference as Mansfield Town, one of the early promotion favourites, are in the relegation zone with Southend, who end up on 2 points. So that is League 2. Now this one's an interesting one because of course they've brought us some interesting results. Morecambe getting beat 4-0 by Crawley is a very good result for Crawley, but for Morecambe, that's an absolute sting in the tail, and they're going to have to... this is the true test for Morecambe now. If they're going to be in the promotion favourites, despite being one of the relegation favourites at the start of the season, they're going to have to use this as a platform to go on a massive winning run now. Not to put any kind of pressure on them, but they've got to use this and launch themselves back on form. Bolton losing to Oldham, that was a shock result in my opinion. I think Ian Everett's got to get that squad together now because Bolton could be in the relegation zone to go into the conference, you know, a few weeks down the line if they don't buck up their act. Managerless Salford, of course, they sacked, despite the unbeaten start, they sacked Graham Alexander and put Paul Scholes in interim charge. He has ruled out that he's not taking the job permanently. It is just an interim base until a new manager can be appointed, and hopefully we can get that new manager by next weekend. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do in terms of how they approach the new manager situation. I think one manager that probably will be on the way out is probably Mansfield's manager because they're on a bit of a rot now as well. And of course Southend United, they're on a rot as well. And of course, promoter Barrow, you know, they're going to want to try and get their season underway, their season back in the Football League. And Scunthorpe United getting battered by Cambridge. Yes, it's nearly top of the table, but you know, it's Scunthorpe at the end of the day, and they're going through a bit of a rot. So, yeah, are they the next manager to set the manager? We'll have to see with that one. But that's League 2, and to end my sort of look into the leagues, before we talk about Moore's reaction, speaking about injuries and stuff like that, let's have a look at the predictions that I've put in for the League 1 fixtures on Tuesday, because of course we've got another midweek round of fixtures. So let's have a look at my Tuesday midweek predictions. So we kick off with a 6 o'clock kickoff, Shrewsbury against Bristol Rovers. This one's an easy one for me. I'm going to go with a Shrewsbury victory. I'm going to go with a 1-0 win. I think they'll just scrape it, but Bristol Rovers will have the better game. But I think they may not take the chance in this one. Then at 6:30, Gillingham face Portsmouth. Two sides, Portsmouth of course losing to us yesterday, and of course Gillingham losing a couple of games in a row. So Gillingham need to regain their form, but Portsmouth, I think they'll regain their form the bestest. I think they're going to win about 2-0. Then we go into the 7 o'clock kickoffs. Now there are the rest of them are 7 o'clock kickoffs, apart from 2 which are at 7:45. So we're going to look at them at the end. But let's start off with the 7 o'clock. So Accrington Fleetwood. This one's a good one for me because I think that Fleetwood could go and snatch a win here from Accrington, who lost to Ipswich yesterday. So I think I'm looking at a 1-0 win here for Fleetwood. Blackpool Charlton, I'm going to look at a 2-0 Charlton victory. I think Charlton are going to be on the up, and I think they're going to continue being on the up. Doncaster Ipswich, we're not going to predict, so I'm going to predict that in tomorrow's preview, the Monday preview show for the Ipswich match. I can't believe we're doing another Monday one, it's brilliant. But that will be over there, so not going to preview Doncaster Ipswich in this video. Hull versus Wimbledon, easy one for me. I think this is a 3-1 Hull victory. Not much to say about that. I think Hull will do better against the lesser teams, no disrespect to AFC Wimbledon, but I think the teams that won't be fighting for promotion are easy to beat. But I think Hull will struggle against the bigger teams, so we'll have to see what happens when it comes to that kind of day. Lincoln, of course, drew with Fleetwood this weekend, and Plymouth winning again. So Plymouth are going to be in the better form, but of course Lincoln's still inside the top 3. So I think Plymouth are going to win this one. I think it's going to be a 2-1 Plymouth victory. Oxford United MK Dons. Oxford are going to lose this one in my opinion. I think it will be a 2-1 MK Dons victory. Sunderland Crew. I think Sunderland's going to win this one 2-1. And again, another 2-1. Wigan Peterborough. The last 7 o'clock kickoff. I think this one's going to be an interesting one. I think this is going to be a 2-2 draw. I think Peterborough and Wigan will share the points. And then in the 7:45 kickoffs, Burton take on Rochdale, Burton Albion. And I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw, you know. I think we're looking at one of those. And finally, Northampton Swindon. Now, both need to regain form, and I think it will be Northampton doing that with a 1-0 last-minute victory. So there we go. That is my predictions going into Tuesday's fixtures. Of course, stay tuned tomorrow for the match preview for the Ipswich game, where I'll be looking at the manager, of course the position in the table, which we all know, and looking at players we need to watch out for, what we need to do against Ipswich that we didn't do against Portsmouth in our victory, and also speak about my predicted lineups for both teams. So that'll be coming in that video, but for now, let's have a look at Moore's reaction to the Portsmouth victory, and let's say he was pretty pleased with that result. So his official quotes to the Free Press are as follows: "I'm really pleased. It's always pleasing to get 3 points at a difficult place. It was a difficult game. The biggest thing is that I like to say about it is we showed good resilience to stay disciplined in the game. It was a tight game. We controlled the first half. We started well, we were dominant, but we knew in the second half it would be difficult. It turned out to be that way. As I worked out, I was pleased with the way the boys stayed disciplined, kept getting the first contacts on the ball and kept the shape of the team. That was a big thing for me because it always kept us in the game. And when it came towards the end of the game, we had that one moment in the box. Reece showed that the composure and we took our chance. And we Portsmouth got a lot of tackles and blocks in and bodies in the way throughout the game. So there was a massive amount of chances. When the clear-cut one fell, I was so pleased that we took it. It was great to hear the players determined to stay disciplined and working as a unit. I was really pleased for them because it showed that we have to go and show it more in the weeks and months to come. The part of the game today was really good, and it's nice to have and show that resilience. And of course, he also said that John Taylor was taken off due to an upset stomach. So that was Moore's press reaction. Now, this is an interesting one. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Yeah, I agree with everything he said. I think we showed resilience, we showed composure, we took our chances, and we got the goal from it. I think Reece had that one moment in the box, and the goal, like I said, it was sweeter than Cadbury's. It was sweeter than Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. It was a sweet, sweet goal, and a great performance overall from the guy. Now, there were a couple of other articles that came out over the last few hours talking about John Jules and Tulloch's injuries and the situation with that, and also explaining why Reece James played the way he did in the Portsmouth match. So we're going to share them right now very quickly. So let's talk first of all about Reece James. So Darren Moore has explained that Reece James' selection in midfield was a horses for courses move from the boss. The left back was named on the wide left or midfield in the triumph over Portsmouth on Saturday and delivered a superb performance, capped with the winning goal. While his options were limited due to the fitness of other potential options for the position, Moore said he felt James was the ideal choice for the role higher up the pitch and what he expects to be a tight game. So that was the reasoning why Reece James was in that position. You know what? Fair play to Darren Moore, because I think a lot of people would have criticised him if it went wrong. But it went right. We played the, there's a reason, with Darren Moore, if he plays a player in a position we don't usually see and it's a bit weird on paper, there's usually a reason why. So we wouldn't have to worry. I know people have to question, but we wouldn't worry because he's got a game plan, he's got an idea, and it worked to perfection. So that's what I'm sort of thinking in terms of my stance on this. I think he played him in the right position and it was great. But John is not a left back, so I want to see hopefully Danny Amos get minutes when he gets back. But I think it's hard to take Anderson or Wright out of the mix. So you put John on the bench, and you put James back at left back, and you put probably, in my opinion, for the Ipswich game, I would put James at left back and I would start Josh Sims, and that's a bit of a teaser for my predicted lineup tomorrow. But I would start Josh Sims in my opinion. So fair enough for doing it in the Portsmouth match, but the Ipswich match, I don't think there's any room for that. So I think you put James back at left back, John back on the bench, and you put Sims in the starting lineup. So I think that's how I would do it. And finally, to end the video, let's have a look at the latest on John Jules and Tulloch. So the Rovers boss Darren Moore said he was not willing to risk the fitness of striker John Jules without having an in-depth diagnosis of his injury. He suffered a thigh injury during his time with the under-20 England squad. He was awaiting further scans on John Jules' injury but opted to not include him in the plans for Saturday's win over Portsmouth. He will consult with the physio Jonathan Chatfield over the next day before determining the plan for the 19-year-old's return to action. And as well as that, with Rayan Tulloch, he's waiting for further news after recovering from a hamstring injury with parent club West Brom. He said he has a solid week back in training with West Brom and we'll get him back. And he said it's good to hear, and I think for him now it's getting on the pitch, working with the ball. So there we go. I think John Jules will be assessed over the next day to see whether he features for Ipswich on the bench at least. I think he probably won't. With Tulloch, potentially it could be not the Tuesday game, but maybe at the Saturday. Maybe we get Tulloch at least on the bench on Saturday next week. So that'll be a very exciting time to see whether he will be back in time for the Saturday match. Probably not the Tuesday match. I think we're not looking at John Jules or Tulloch for the Tuesday match. I think at least Tulloch for the Saturday match. But hopefully we should get more updates on John Jules when we sort of hear more about it. Hopefully tomorrow. So there we go. So thank you very much, guys, for watching this jam-packed episode of the DRFC Daily Reports. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the match preview for the Ipswich Town game on Tuesday. And for now, guys, I'm the CHALL. Please like, comment, subscribe. And for now, goodbye.